You and I often joke that the ultimate oxymoron may be the term political science, but I can attest that there is a method to the seeming madness, a discipline to what seems so undisciplined, and yes, scholarship, despite the scoffers. In fact, what often seems missing, or perhaps relegated to the footnotes, is something best described as the human equation. We've been conditioned to believe that politicians and their families have a collective thick skin, that insults and indignities are brushed away like crumbs off a tabletop. But again, based on personal experience, I can attest that there are times when a public figure and his or her family members feel absolutely crummy. A prime example of that was on display just yesterday. At this time last night, I made mention of a blog entry from Bristol Palin in which she wrote that she didn't know if her mom was going to endorse Donald Trump, but Bristol was hoping that that was what Sarah had planned. And as it turns out, this comment on cable TV by Cruz campaign spokesman Rick Tyler may have triggered Bristol's reaction.
I think it'd be a blow to Sarah Palin, because Sarah Palin has been a champion for the conservative cause, and if she was going to endorse Donald Trump, sadly she would be endorsing someone who's held progressive views all their life on the sanctity of life, on marriage, on partial birth abortion. He was a supported TARP bailout. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Donald Trump claims he's changed all those views, but I think if it was Sarah Palin, let me just say I'd be deeply disappointed.
Well, Bristol was disappointed and disheartened by what she perceived as an attack on her mom, and so she clobbered Cruz via her keyboard. But in stark contrast to what his spokesman said on CNN, Ted Cruz took time to tell Fox how much he appreciated Sarah Palin.
Oh, listen, I love Sarah Palin. She is a friend of mine. I would not be in the U.S. Senate if it were not for Sarah's friendship, for her incredible support. And so whatever she chooses to do in 2016, I will always be a big fan of Sarah Palin's.
Of course, left unsaid by Ted, his own disappointment that Sarah was endorsing Trump. But you can rest assured that disappointment was addressed by the candidate and his wife, Heidi, in private. Now, something else occurred yesterday that should put all the poll numbers, predictions, and the pronouncements in their proper perspective, which is to say, in the file folder marked trivial. As all the attention was focused on Palin's endorsement of Trump, Ben Carson's campaign had to deal with real tragedy. 4 members of Carson's campaign team were involved in a horrible auto accident, and one of those young people died. A van carrying the quartet hit a patch of ice on an Iowa road, flipped on its side, and was struck by another vehicle. The crash killed 25-year-old Braden Joplin, who was a Carson campaign volunteer. Dr. Carson suspended his campaign activities and flew from South Carolina to Omaha so that he could be with the Joplin family. Dr. Ben also issued this statement, quoting now, "One of the precious few joys of campaigning is the privilege of meeting bright young men and women who are so enthusiastic about their country that they will freely give of their time and energy to work on its behalf." America lost one of those bright young men today. I had the privilege of knowing Braden Joplin personally and am filled with a deep and profound sadness at his passing, end quote. We often speak of life and death issues that presidential candidates discuss, and yesterday Dr. Ben Carson acted in the wake of tragedy, again pointing out the prevalence of the human condition. Again, Braden Joplin was only 25.